Hello, everyone. I am in my 50s and was approached at a festival by a man in his early 20s. He told me that the dress looked good on me. He originally came from an African country and shared interesting things about his country and culture. I thought it was a brave approach and the conversation was very nice. However, he was a bit too young for me. My son is his age, so I did not want to meet him again. Nevertheless, I find it amazing how confidently some younger men approach older women today. I do not think that used to be the case. Story 1. Older women know what they want, no games, no nonsense. That is what I thought when I was in my 20s. The games that women played in my age group, I did not engage with them. I preferred women who were 10 or more years older. Story 2. I have pretty much always dated older. My wife is 10 years older. From personal experience, the emotional maturity, self-awareness, low drama, and alignment of goals in trying to raise a family and work hard to maintain a good relationship are all advantages that younger women did not have at the same level. Those extra years of maturity and life experience really age women like fine whiskey. Story 3. Many younger women today are not living in the real world. Their perceptions have been distorted by social media, especially due to ego inflation. Story 4. My wife is 20 years older than me. She knows what she wants and is not bothered by superficial things. She is strong during tough times and knows what to be grateful for in life. I did not intend to fall in love, but I fell for her deeply and cannot imagine my life without her. Story 5. Once men realize older women have experience, know what they want, do not have time for random drama, and do not need to drain their bank account for personal care, it becomes clear. Sitting on the couch weighing options and not considering older women becomes absurd if you value yourself even a little. Story 6. Younger women face many issues today, which they often do not address until they are older and have gained the experience needed to navigate them properly. Not all, but a plurality of them. Most older women tend to have figured it out and are not interested in playing relationship games. Younger men who have become disillusioned are drawn to women who have it together mentally and emotionally, and who are willing to understand that they are different without denigrating them for it. 34 years old, by the way. Story 7. I have a friend who dated women in their 40s and 50s throughout his 20s. I think part of it was that younger women can be harder to date because they are picky, unsure about what they want, have difficulty communicating, or may be insecure. The women he dated were often divorced, had children, and careers. All they wanted was a good time and for him to go home. He was not looking for a wife, so that arrangement worked out well for both parties. Story 8. Older women play fewer games and are more upfront with what they want. I can verify this because when I was younger, I was often approached by older women. A coworker called me sexy man, and another called me a sexy little Indian, even though I am an islander with tattoos and all. Story 9. At my gym, I have a crush on a woman in her early 40s despite me being 26. She is really cool, and when we have a conversation, she is genuinely interested in what I say compared to younger girls who are really passive in my experience. I think it is because I like the attention of a woman, and women older than me have no problems showing it. Story 10. We have always liked older women. It is just more socially acceptable now. Sexuality as a whole has become more fluid across the board, not only in terms of gender. I am 45 years old now. When I was much younger, I was afraid to be seen dating a larger woman or a much older woman. In my 20s, I turned down several chances to have relationships with gorgeous women because I was worried someone might tease me about being with a girl who had a large figure or was almost 6 feet tall, even though that was who I was attracted to. Story 11. Some older women are very easy because they have fantasies of being with younger men. I mean, look at the alternative. An overweight man with a double chin on cholesterol medication wearing compression socks is not really someone's fantasy partner. The younger men look at the older women knowing there is no chance of a long-term relationship, so they figure she is a casual encounter. There are also a few younger men looking for sugar mothers. Story 12. I don't think this is new. Some older women are attractive and are more open to casual relationships that don't lead to commitment. They don't need full attention or money, and they can be more experienced and mature. Basically, older women can be good friends with benefits. Honestly, I've never met an older woman who is available for that. If I had met one 10 years ago, I would have done it. You have to be aware that in such interactions, the man usually isn't looking for a girlfriend. Most of the time, it is like that. Story 13. I personally do not want to, but it is clear that older women are much more mature and fun to be with, especially without children. Story 14. Since my early 20s, I've always found older women to be much friendlier. I don't know if it's the different environment they were raised in or that young women have always been standoffish with men to avoid unwanted advances. But whatever it is, young women seem to actively ignore me while older women were always friendly, chatty, engaging, and approachable. Plus, women are just more attractive in their 50s and 60s than they used to be. Story 15. As a young man who is interested in all kinds of women, including older ones, I think I have always liked them. You just never knew about it because you were not an older woman. Story 16. I have always been more attracted to women with whom I can have a nice conversation. Women who are not afraid to flirt, stand their ground, and who are simply mature. Also, many young women, especially those who are more beautiful, tend to be too focused on themselves, which turns me off. Looks are important, but experience outweighs them by a lot for me personally. Story 17. I do not know, but I used to have a big crush on my biology teacher. I wrote compliments for her on the back of the exam papers. Story 18. Ben Franklin once said about choosing older women, "They never tell, they never swell, and they are grateful as hell." Story 19. I am a millennial who works at a university. Many of the women in this person's age group are somehow incredibly boring and exhausting at the same time. Perhaps he finds something unique about you. Perhaps he values your emotional maturity. Perhaps you are really beautiful. Men are attracted to beautiful women, regardless of their age. Story 20. Many younger women have no clear idea of what they want in life. They often seek a man who earns good money and can provide material possessions. This does not guarantee happiness, and the relationship may suffer because neither party is truly satisfied. Older women tend to value personality and achievements more and are generally much more mature. Story 21. Well, for me, there are 3 reasons. Older women are much more accepting of me approaching them than women my age. Nowadays, many older women look gorgeous. Many can easily be mistaken for being in their 30s, as if they were using some kind of secret to maintain their youth. They are much more mature and experienced than women my age, who can be difficult to hold a conversation with. Besides, these younger women are already interested in older men anyway. Why wouldn't I? Story 22. I, 34 years old, do not seek out older women. My dating apps are usually set to show ages 30 to 45. However, my best dates have been with women in that age range. Story 23. 25 years ago, I wanted to connect with a female friend of mine. I was 20, and she was 45. She was single, a widow, actually. She was a sad, lonely, quiet woman but fun to hang out with. I could tell she wanted to make life interesting again but didn't quite know how to get back on track. I offered to help, but she wasn't interested. I dropped it. We remained friends. I would have, though. She wasn't the only one or the oldest woman I was interested in back then. Story 24. Sit down and talk to a 20-year-old woman. He will put you off. Maturity seems to be the exception, not the rule. They want you to make over $100,000, drive a nice car, have a nice house, and shower them with expensive gifts. Story 25. These days, it has been a couple of decades since I was considered part of the younger men crowd, and older women were already a definite turn-on back then. There is nothing wrong with gaining some experience on one's journey of discovery, as long as everyone involved is on the same page. Story 26. Men, compared to women, will adapt much more based on feasibility and practicality. If they are being treated poorly by women their age, they will not continue to endure it and complain. They will try their luck elsewhere. Eventually, something works somewhere. In this person's case, and in my case, it has always worked out better with older women. Story 27. As a 37-year-old man, women under 25 are more or less delusional due to social media. They want the world but refuse to offer anything. Older and mature women have grown up without this mentality and are mentally stable and on the same level to build a normal and healthy future together. Story 28. I am gay, and even I understand why younger men would want to date older women. Some younger women these days are annoying, demanding, immature, vapid, and delusional in their expectations. Men want to avoid that and find a woman who is not exhausting right from the start. Story 29. Well, you were at a festival. That could be a partial answer. Also, maybe you look younger than your age. Story 30. More than what? Than before? I am pretty sure it is the same as ever. Some men prefer older women. That is a small minority. Most still prefer similar age or younger. Story 31. There is nothing new under the sun. It has always happened. You just did not know about it. As long as you are smart enough to know it is just about the sex and leave the feelings at home, you will be okay. Story 32. Men have always liked beautiful and attractive women, regardless of their age. Women in their 40s and 50s look much better nowadays compared to past generations. When I was young, women in their 50s appeared very old. My wife is 55 and looks much younger. My advice is, if the man who wants you is over the legal age, ignore the age gap and enjoy life. Story 33. This is not new. When I was a teenager in the 1990s, I lost my virginity to a woman in her 40s. At university, my 20-something friend had a 40-something girlfriend for a while. Story 34. Women my age, 28, and younger have no idea what they want and tend to have confused morals. I say women because to me they are girls, as they are immature. I would rather date an older woman who knows what she wants and is not influenced by social media. Dating older women is like a breath of fresh air, while dating younger women feels like pulling teeth in hair. If you ask them not to do something, you're controlling. If you don't like them talking to a certain person, you're insecure. If you let them take the lead, they treat you disrespectfully because you didn't take the lead. If you take the lead, it's called toxic masculinity. If you correct anything, you're mansplaining. Less than 6 feet tall? You're not even considered a man. The list goes on. But that is the gist of it. Story 35. I haven't noticed it to be any more common than usual. Why does everyone make it about age? Can't people just find others attractive and pursue them without there having to be more to it than that? Story 36. Older women tend to be less stressed, have more understanding, and are not pushy about jumping into a serious relationship. When an older woman chooses a younger man, she is usually okay with the relationship being just sexual. Women tend to reach their sexual prime later, and ironically, men their age often lose interest in having as much sex. Older women tend to be established with their own money and apartments. They are more likely seeking companionship and may not necessarily care if the man is wealthy or has many resources to offer. She really just wants quality time and good sex. For most men, this is a win-win. Story 37. Women my age are awful. I'm dating a woman 17 years my senior, and she is amazing. We get along and have many similar interests. Our bedroom life has never been better in my entire adult life. My mom made a snarky comment that she was just 3 years older than my partner. And guess what? I do not give a so-and-so. The women in my age bracket have been cheating, lying, and manipulative. I reject all of that. Story 38. As a young person, older women were my favorite. They knew and did things that girls my age had no idea about. Older women have confidence and know exactly what they want. Story 39. Top reasons to date women 50 or older. 1. Children are most likely grown. Refer to reason 1. Refer to reason 1 again. Story 40. I don't know, but it is very frustrating for men. When I was young girls all wanted to date older men. Now that I am older, younger men are pursuing older women. Story 41. I have wanted to date older women since I was 8 years old. It is nothing new. I have felt this way for over 30 years. Story 42. Your question focused on older individuals in their 50s, which is beyond my personal experience. However, I have noticed the difference a 14-year age gap can make, from my past partner who was 8 years younger to my current partner who is 6 years older. The maturity difference is incredibly noticeable and very refreshing. Story 43. It hasn't. It's always been like that. You just weren't an older lady before. Since the youngest age I can remember, the idea of an older woman dating younger men has always been among men. Story 44. Just to name a few reasons. More mentally stable and has her life together. Knows what she wants and is not afraid to say it. More stable finances, as I do not want to be someone's sugar daddy. If there are children involved, they are usually a little older and therefore more manageable. I am over 40. If I see a woman in her 20s, I often get fatherly instincts and usually no attraction. Story 45. Because it appears the younger women are not in touch with reality. Reading a few dating subforums here gives the distinct impression that young women think you start off with the perks of an established relationship while also being able to flirt, date, and in many cases have sex with other men, and that the actual boyfriend should just accept it. They are emotionally immature and immature in general. In most cases, you should not have to play these childish games with an older, more mature woman. Story 46. Why does anyone want an older partner? They know more about the world and think more clearly, so they are more interesting and can engage with you better. Education is also ineffective these days. Almost no one under 30 has any clue what they are talking about. Story 47. In my experience, age, life experience, and sanity generally correlate. I know there are individuals who are exceptions in both directions. The 20-year-old women I dated seemed to believe that the value of their youth entitled them to just about everything without any work or effort on their part. It was as if every male around them was obligated to serve. Add in their immaturity about what they actually want from life, and it becomes exhausting. Story 48. Maybe these young men are seeing all these women with older men and aiming for a wealthy partner of their own. Story 49. Late 20s guy who has been interested in older women for most of my adult life. Part of it is a lifestyle I find fits my current pace. I don't really enjoy partying or going clubbing, and in my experience, women in their 20s tend to prefer that kind of fun, whereas older women usually have different ideas of fun. Part of it is that I prefer how older women look compared to younger women. Part of it is their maturity and attitude. Many younger women are looking for a man to replace their father in their life. They want princess treatment, and they want to be excused when they act like a child. For some reason, they expect you to be a mind reader and never communicate. In my experience, dating younger women around my age is like a full-time job, where I'm constantly walking on eggshells. Half your texts get sent to their council of friends, especially if you're arguing. It can feel like you're dating a whole group of people who each have different expectations of you. Many younger women bring mostly looks to the table, and as I already mentioned, I prefer how older women look. In my experience, older women tend to have figured out how to date properly. They are significantly better communicators, and it feels like a partnership. They respect when you don't respond all day because you're at work, and they appreciate it when you give them princess treatment rather than just expect it. Older women seem to be much better at treating men. They know what men like and show their appreciation. They respect you and understand that a relationship is not one partner taking care of the other all the time. Of course, everything said here is anecdotal. It really boils down to older women being much more pleasant and less stressful. Story 50. Younger women tend to be toxic and misandric. They expect to be treated like princesses because they believe they have unlimited options. Story 51. Because no one feels stable, many people want someone who has more experience and stability. There is also money involved in some cases. Additionally, people are staying young looking longer, so they are extending the upper age limit they would normally date. There are many crude joke reasons we could mention, but I strongly believe it is the desire for stability from a partner. Story 52. The main reason I occasionally end up with women up to 5 years older than myself is that they actually tell me they are interested. Story 53. Is there proof that more younger men are trying to date older women? Are there statistics to support this? This seems to be pure anecdote. Story 54. I am in my 40s now. When I was younger, I always wanted to be with an older woman in her 40s or 50s. Story 55. Probably because younger women have generally become more toxic with the sheer amount of videos and discussions online made daily about how horrible dating and intergender relations have become, and the many ways that women aged 20 to 30 make it very difficult, nearly impossible, to connect on an emotional or psychological level. A lot of men are probably so fed up and feeling hopeless that they are ready to try and say anything to break out of it. That said, I do think many older women nowadays can be quite attractive. As a general rule, in my opinion, attractive older women look a bit rougher in the face, but their bodies seem to fill out nicely even when it looks like they have never done a squat or anything. I can only imagine how attractive their bodies would be if they did. Maybe I am wrong, and many of them look as good as they do because of the effort. No idea. To me, it seems like most people over 40 just give up on the kind of self-care that a person aged 20 to 30 who cares about appearance might put in. Then they wonder why they age poorly. Also, unfortunately, if someone is in their 40s or 50s, do I see a future with them if I want a legitimate family? Logically, how could I, even if I liked them a lot? They are probably too old for the chances of having a healthy child to be very high. It is possible and happens often, but it is a roll of the dice that does not favor a positive outcome. Many older women are quite smiley and warm, and if someone wanted to try their luck with me, I am honestly a pretty horny and lonely man. I am not desperate in the sense that I have always had self-control and would have more romantic and sexual history if I gave in to temptations, but I did not like those individuals and did not want to hurt them. I would not want to lead anyone on, but if someone older and attractive wanted to have some fun knowing it cannot be much more, I would be very respectful and caring for them in the meantime. Story 56. To fulfill a fantasy of being with mature women. At least that was the case for me, and it was amazing. Story 57. Older women are typically more comfortable in their bodies and know what they want and how to achieve it. Men also need practice. If you are interested in short relationships, it will work out well. If you are seeking long-term companionship, it may not. Story 58. As a younger man who likes older women, I think it is simply because they are more mature and know what they are looking for. I had a few relationships with women who were several years, even a decade or two older than me, and they were some of the best relationships either of us have ever had. Of course, that can be rare, but being able to connect on a deeper level regardless of age is a wonderful feeling. I enjoy going on nice, low-key dates, just the two of us relaxing and spending quality time together without fuss or awkwardness, sharing good conversations and positive vibes. Story 59. Every girl in their 20s is an Instagram activist shouting about some injustice. I just want someone who will say, "Thanks for cooking. Do you want to go for a walk?" Story 60. Young people generally have challenges. If you are one of the few young people who are positive, of course, you would rather spend time with an older person who is positive. Story 61. Many younger women have become toxic towards men due to the influence of Andrew Tate, who appears to have caused some women to dislike all men. Additionally, more young women seem to dress in revealing ways, showing most of their features. This is not surprising. Most older women wear dresses, which I find much more appealing. Yes, I date a woman younger than me, so I don't believe all women are like this. Story 62. Easiest route you will get. A simple compliment, and they will fawn over you like a love-struck teen. Divorcees from dead bedroom marriages. Freaks. Oh, I never did anything with my husband. Grass is greener mentality. Most went crawling back to their exes when they realized beyond a shallow relationship nothing would ever eventuate. This is when I was 100% honest from the beginning. Story 63. Because they genuinely seem interested in intimacy and enjoying themselves. While many young women today prefer to distance themselves from men and appear content walking their dogs and drinking tea. Story 64. Younger women do not want attention from men, but older women enjoy attention. Ultimately, it comes down to older women being more approachable and less likely to be unfaithful. Story 65. Because the age at which men lose their virginity is rising into their mid-20s in North America, young women now have unprecedented access to successful older men. Therefore, young men's chance for a relationship is to date older women. Story 66. Because many of us do not have a choice, especially when we are in our 20s. We are practically invisible to women our age unless we are in the top 5% in appearance. Story 67. When I was 18, I moved to California with a 46-year-old woman. Older women are beautiful lovers, as the song goes. Story 68. Honestly, older women treat me like a human being. They know how to communicate, and I am tired of younger women because they communicate in a strange way, even those 2 years younger than me, not like Leonardo DiCaprio stuff. That being said, a woman 4 years older than me just ghosted me without any explanation, so I really do not know. Story 69. When younger women are out of options for young men, they will naturally tend to move towards the open fields. Story 70. He probably thought you would be more open compared to someone his age. However, everyone has types as well. So enjoy the compliment, I guess. Story 71. Personally, I did not have any interest in women my own age. I have been together with my wife for 6 years and married for 1 year. Story 72. Some men prefer women closer to their age, some like them a little older, others like them a little younger within reason. I have always known this to be the case. My friend married a woman who is much older than him, and my stepdad is about 15 years younger than my mum. Story 73. I think it is because some older women prefer that. It is easier to ask an experienced woman because they know what they want and what a denial means. It is embarrassing when it comes from peers. I am 59 and married, and my wife has never been hotter than in her 40s and 50s. Story 74. Was he a citizen? You have to be cautious of those seeking a fast-track way into the country through marriage. It is much more common than you think. Story 75. This I find funny. In my early 20s, I tended to date women the same age up to 35. I did not start dating women in their 50s until I was about 35. I just never connected with women younger than me. I tried, and it tended to be completely awful. But I figured that out very early. Story 76. Younger women often date older men, which can mean that younger men and older women are left out. Maybe there is a solution. Story 77. So this happened once? What makes you think that younger men want to date older women these days? Could have been that the man was attracted to you. That is not really indicative of any broader trend. Story 78. I don't know if anyone else has been feeling this lately, but I am starting to be attracted to women who dress modestly rather than those who dress scantily. I will still look, but it really is all starting to look the same. There is nothing left to show. Story 79. I am a younger man, 24 years old, who wants an older woman. They tend to be more mature, emotionally stable, and more experienced at sex. They usually do not play games to the extent that women my age do. Additionally, older women tend to be well established in their careers if they choose to pursue one, so money is not as much of an issue for them. Story 80. Older women have better music tastes, more experience on occasion, and a lot of interesting perspectives. They also tend to avoid the manipulative behavior often seen in others, which makes them even more appealing. Lastly, the attraction to mature women is undeniable, and men are very drawn to them. Story 81. Older women are just nicer, more friendly, approachable, and not as judgmental or jaded as women our age who are more interested in performing on their phones for that Instagram life, barely taking any notice of whatever man they are using for attention. Younger women tend to be very masculine, which is a turn-off. They are always on edge like men on steroids. You basically gave your own answer with the man who approached you. Look at the way you treated him. You did not call him a creep, condescend, or sneer at him the way younger women often do when a man works up the courage to approach them. You acted feminine, and even though you turned him down, I bet you still left him smiling and appreciating you. Younger women don't do that. Their first instinct is to act hostile, condescending, and standoffish, then to damage the man's reputation afterward. I have seen this happen, which is why I have never approached a woman and have no intention of ever doing so. My girlfriend is older than me, and she was the one who approached me and asked me out, so I am very lucky on that front. Story 82. Okay, for some this may come across as racist, but I really do not mean it that way. Any ethnicity that comes from a background like this young man may have would most likely do the same. You mentioned that he was originally from an African country. How long has he lived where you live now? I assume by your username it is a Scandinavian country, many of which are favored by refugees. My guess is that he was looking for someone older who seems single and maybe feels a bit lonely, to marry and therefore be able to stay. An older woman, such as yourself, also has both feet on the ground, a stable income, and some wealth accumulated. Of course, I could be entirely wrong. He may already have a passport from the said Scandinavian country and simply have an interest in older women because he may feel like women his age are immature and too much of a hassle. Story 83. Younger women are more selective with sex because they have more attractive options than older women. Young men have been engaging in sexual activity for a long time. Story 84. Desperation mainly. Studies indicate most men in their 20s are single. Most women in their 20s are not. It is not hard to figure out why and do the math. The recent cultural pressure to date within your own age group is quite silly and contrary to history as well as statistics on successful relationships. However, the general mess of present dating creates rather extreme behaviors. There are two factors at play. First, the most desperate groups of unwillingly single people are younger men and older women. These are the numbers, not my opinion. It should not be surprising these groups are connecting if they want the chance of human contact. Additionally, older women are less sold on the recent trend of criticizing men and portraying them as their number one predator. Older women tend to remember the times when men and women could talk to each other in a friendly way. It is far easier for younger men to approach older women without being labeled as a creep or monster for daring to speak to them and interrupt their phone time. This situation is not sustainable, but it is understandable. Story 85. Hagmaxing refers to the practice of older men pursuing relationships with younger women because women their own age are often difficult to attract and generally less appealing. Older women tend to be more open, friendly, and willing to have fun. Story 86. When grandmother, who is 80 years old, is in nightclubs getting friendly with gigolos, anything goes. Story 87. Many young women have unfortunately been influenced by the internet to have highly unrealistic expectations. Story 88. One young man approaching an older woman. Why do more younger men want to date older women these days? Maturity, personality, life experience, and no interest in children. There could be many reasons, and I do not think there is anything wrong with that, provided there is openness and honesty from the beginning. Story 89. I guess the same reason some younger adult women may want an older man or woman if she is bisexual or lesbian experience. Story 90. For me, it has to do with the way I was raised. For some reason, I feel much more comfortable being flirty and affectionate with older women. Story 91. Because it appears that younger women are not in touch with reality. Reading a few dating forums reveals the distinct impression that young women think you start with the perks of an established relationship while also flirting, dating, and in many cases having sex with other men. The actual boyfriend is expected to just accept this. They are emotionally immature and immature in general. In most cases, you should not have to engage in these childish games with an older, more mature woman. Story 92. When I was younger, I was attracted to older women because they were available. When I was 25, I would spend time with women who were 45. They wanted to feel younger and be intimate. I wanted to gain more experience and have a connection. It worked well for the younger man to be with an older woman. That's what I did. I eventually found a partner my age, actually younger. Story 93. Women have money these days. Just as young girls look for sugar daddies, some young men are now seeking sugar mamas. This is called hagmaxing by the younger generation. Story 94. I would not necessarily say these days. I dated someone 5 years older than me when I was 18. When I was 19, I asked out a woman who was clearly in her 30s. She turned me down very sweetly. You like who you like. I ended up with my wife, who is only 1.5 years younger than me, and I still cannot believe she said yes 21 years later. Story 95. Older women have experience and are more mature compared to when you are dating a girl younger or the same age as you. Story 96. Tell them, I am not into adoption. That is what I said about 20 years ago, so it has always been a thing. Granted, I was carded at a junior high dance as a chaperone. Story 97. Attractive older women refuse to believe men really want to date them. They make it hard or refuse even if there is interest. Mid-aged younger women are convinced all men want to date them. They make it hard or refuse even if there is interest. Men come here and express frustration. Women come here and express frustration. How did we get here? How do we fix this? Story 98. Young women lack respect and accountability of any kind. My partner is 20 years older than me, and we are very happy. Story 99. Have you met any younger women recently? Men do not want to date activists. They want to date real women. Story 100. Honestly, it could be a range of reasons, from the age-old Oedipus complex to wanting someone who will buy them things instead of having to buy so much themselves, not competing with older men with assets, to wanting someone more experienced or adventurous, to seeking fun without the risk of pregnancy. He may also find girls his own age immature and boring and find older women more interesting. Story 101. Tell me why you all keep approaching me. It is the opposite for me. Women in their 40s and older approached me and directly asked me to be with them just last week. Nevertheless, they told me I looked beautiful. Story 102. Because it is easy to have sex with older women. I had 6 or more women aged 35 and older soliciting me for sex once I turned 15. I thought it was gross. Younger women have more options and thus higher expectations. Story 103. Because young men with helicopter mothers who have not cut the cord or were dominating the marriage to the extent that the father was not able or willing to guide the boy into manhood, these boys now pursue older women because they seek more mothering instead of taking responsibility as men. Story 104. Because young women are increasingly extreme in their anti-men views, no one wants to date someone who calls them the Antichrist. Story 105. There are many reasons, but older women tend to be more respectful and are not influenced by radical feminism like younger women. For example, you thought it was nice when a young man approached you. Younger women, on the other hand, often think it is uncomfortable for a man to approach a woman. I believe older women also have more respect for men and know what they want. Story 106. They are mostly looking for an easy opportunity, or so they think. It also does not hurt to have an older woman who will treat you to things because she is likely to be more financially secure. Story 107. Have you considered the possibility that it could be a trap? Someone gave you attention, and you started to feel butterflies. Story 108. Who would not want to sleep with someone who is much younger than them? Especially if it is just sex. I will take the tight young body over the flabby one. Thank you. Story 109. Because he can call her mommy, and she can call him good boy in hopes of easing his childhood trauma from his mother, and probably his father too. Story 110. I will be honest with you. Young women are often pursued by older men with higher net worths, so young men have to compete with them to attract women their own age. As a result, some men choose to pursue older women who receive less attention. Story 111. I know what attracts me. Older women tend to know and understand life much more than someone my age. They are easier to talk to and engage with in conversations. There is a gap between my wife and me, and it has been a great relationship. Story 112. Perhaps they missed something growing up, the maternal instincts from an absent mother. I definitely understand how maternal instincts in a woman are attractive, though. Story 113. I prefer younger women, like maybe 18, but anyone 21 or older I don't mind. I think right now, 2 years under or over 25 is my sweet spot. The drinking age is 21 in my state, and I need my partner to be able to drink at least. I love a good Mai Tai in the summer, especially when you use a 5-year aged rum. Why am I getting downvoted? I'm literally saying my preferred age range is 24 to 27. What is the issue? Is 27 not young to you? Story 114. Older women have deliberately given young women bad advice to increase their own dating options because they were all divorced. They did this as a cash grab after changes in divorce law. Story 115. Low self-confidence and insecurity. They are looking for a mother who will take control and relieve them of their insecurity in dating. Story 116. Sister, I would like to believe that it is a mommy issue. If the woman is still married, the chance of not having to pay child support is higher. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.